Wait, you guys have one child? You said how old?
3.
3.
Wow, oh, that's close to. So we have one child, and she is close to 4. So
Oh wow,
Yeah.
we've got 10, 8, and 5.
oh, you don't. You have 4 children?
No, that's their ages.
We got 3.
3 kids, 10, age 10, age
Oh,
8.
got it. Okay, wow. Yeah, we're like one and done, basically.
I respect that decision.
Yeah. But anyway, so just real quick, consent via just I don't do any paperwork, so just consent via video. That the session can be an episode of my podcast, and then on YouTube.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's fine.
All right, and where are you guys? What part of the world?
We are in Australia on
Oh.
the east coast, just south of Sydney, in a city called Wollongong.
Wow. So what time is it over there right now?
It's 10:30 on Saturday morning.
Nice.
We're
Cool. All right. Well, where do you guys want to start? You want to give me some backstory, or do you want to just kind of go directly to the current struggles?
I
The
guess
shallow end of the pool or the deep end?
I guess it's helpful to have a backstory.
Mm-hmm.
We got together in 2010. We quickly moved away to Japan because we wanted an adventure.
Wow.
We got caught up in the huge earthquake in 2011 in Japan
Mm.
and left very abruptly after 2 months. Came back to Northern Ireland where it just felt safe and comfortable and everything that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that we knew wasn't actually very good for us. So we got married that year in 2011 and started our marriage in a way that just, I guess it just went downhill from there.
Mm.
I'll add that
Describe.
we were
Wait,
only babies when
Wait,
we got there.
can just so I could have names, so I don't just call you guys you. Is it Estelle?
Estelle.
Ruben?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Wait, describe downhill. What do you mean by downhill?
I guess, like, when we both met, I was very honest with Ruben and said, I'm actually not really interested in a relationship, and I struggle to see myself married because my examples of marriage aren't what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of like thought that we could do it differently, but we were too conditioned in our upbringings and how things are done in it, from where we're from. And it just, I just became the submissive wife. Ruben, I was his support. I stayed at home, raised the kids. His career went from
0
to 100 in a few years.
Wow.
And I just felt like, oh, is this it?
Right.
Very small and not worthy of anything else, really.
Sure. And so what does the day-to-day look like now? Ruben, are you working from home, out? I'm assuming you're very busy.
Yeah, still busy. I went from being a freelancer to working for a company here in Sydney.
Yep.
Which was in itself a nice welcome change, but brought in different struggles around that world of work. Me being very busy with work and Estelle sort of being at home looking after the children. I have flexibility with my job. My employer is really great that way. I have freedom to work from home for the most part, and I'll go to the city. We're about an hour and a half away from the city. So I'll go up to Sydney for work when I have to, which is usually around every other week, 1 or 2 days maybe. So I've got a lot of flexibility here, which is good. Mostly working from home now. In the early days, I was freelance, so I went where the money was, which meant a lot of domestic travel around Northern and Southern Ireland, a lot of mainland England work, and then further afield across Europe and even around the world. So there were weeks that I was home and there were weeks that I was gone, and often it was at the drop of a hat. Just
Right.
depended who was paying for work, and I lived very much in the mindset of a scarcity mentality. As a freelancer, it was like, if someone's offering me money, I've got to take it,
Right.
which is partly where the strain came in our relationship in the early days. Because Estelle was left at home with very little support and notice.
I guess, I've always felt like really far down the priority list. But I can acknowledge that he was the only income, and we needed that as well.
Right.
There was a strange transition. When we first got together, I was a waster.
No, you weren't.
I didn't have any money. I wasn't earning really at all, other than just sort of casual money from here and there. Estelle was working in a school full time when we met, and had a good wage and was on a good career trajectory as a primary school teacher. I was like a sort of struggling artist in many ways, and there was a strange role reversal around the time that we got married. All of a sudden, the work that I'd committed to doing as a freelancer just started to boom.
This is before the kids, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
a year in,
it kind of the roles reversed. You started taking off. She probably started slowing down, and then you guys had children, right? And so having children obviously compounds things as far as stress, anxiety, all of that. So how many years have Estelle, how many years have you been quote unquote the as you said, the submissive homemaker or wife, at home, apron, watching the full-time mom kind of thing? How many years has that happened?
Like solidly 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years of that, and I'm assuming you are struggling with identity, purpose. You're probably lonely, all of that stuff. And then Ruben, for you, what's going on? Are you, because your career is now more safe, and you said you went from 0 to 100, are you happy in that area? Or how are you?
Yeah. I enjoy my work. I am very, very fortunate to work for the company that I do work for. And for the most part, I have, as what Estelle has described over the years, is I'm sort of living my dream in that respect.
Sure.
Yeah. I work for a tech company in Australia called Canva, and they're known here for being exceptional in the with their team, how they treat their team, how they look after the team members, and how they sort of shape the future of work.
Sure.
So we're very, very well catered for, and we have incredible resources and facilities at our disposal.
Are you still gone a lot or no? Are you still gone a lot or no?
No,
not at the minute.
Okay.
But then,
Travel.
like a week's notice, he could be elsewhere, London, America.
Last year was the first year that I traveled internationally for work in 4 years. But even at that, we became quite good at using people from around the world to fit in, so our team wasn't having to travel a lot. So we haven't really been traveling a lot. I haven't done an awful lot of travel. I did go away for 2 weeks last year. That was the first time in 4 years. And maybe this year I'll do a trip or two. I'm not sure. But usually when it does happen, it's quite late notice, which is just yet another little strain area. Makes it difficult.
So how does the contrast of where you guys are at in career and also your inner journey and happiness, how is all of this impacting the relationship? So Estelle, can you go first? Because it seems like you are going through just being grayed out and kind of unhappy generally, right? So that's impacting the relationship as well.
2023, I went into the year deeply unhappy and sort of thinking this is the end of the marriage. I always struggle at the start of the year. It's my birthday, and unworthiness and feeling I'm not worth celebrating, and financial stuff, and coming from scarcity mindset. So last year, for the first time, I decided I'm going to celebrate myself and organize a trip to Sydney with a friend, and we stayed in a hotel, and I came back and I thought, I'm going to fill myself this year because I can't rely on somebody else to do that. So I started doing things that interest me and investing in future me and doing courses. And then I took a trip to France for a women's retreat. And it was a really good excuse to go back to Ireland at the same time to see family. And we had promised each other that at least one of us would go home every year. Just because after COVID, we didn't see family for 4 years. So I was nervous to go on the retreat because I knew it was going to change me. I knew that I was going to learn to love myself and like experience something different to what I was used to. And I came back and my expectations were real.
What were they? You came back, and what were your expectations? How did that retreat change you?
I came back knowing that what I deserved, really. And that didn't go down very well.
How did it go down? What? First of all, what can you be more specific? What is it that you deserve? What was the revelation, and then what was the pushback?
I guess, becoming a teacher was an acceptable profession in our culture, and we grew up in the church, and it was very much women do this job, earn some money, but also fit around the family and to support our husband. And it's very acceptable in our culture to be a teacher. So I just did that. And I didn't.
You thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I didn't really want to do it. And I'm still in this situation where I like what I do, but it's not filling me up. So I've been desperate to try and get not out of it, but sidestep. And I really, really want to focus on what's next, but it sort of drains me whenever I'm in the school setting. And I'm really struggling to do work in the school and studying. So we had decided at the start of the year that I would just go down to part-time and study at the same time. And it just wasn't working. The school that I was in was draining me for lots of different reasons, mostly religious. And I had already started to process and deconstruct what I believed, and being put back in that environment was really triggering. And so I quit and I followed my heart, but that came at Ruben's cost and great stress over finances and, well, this is not helping our future if you quit your job. But for me, it was greatly helping my future. And I felt like the more I started to pour into myself and go down my path, it was just getting wider and wider.
Ruben, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty accurate. I think to contextualize that specific point in time, we had 4 years of living a very precarious, uncertain life here in Australia because we came on temporary visas. So when we arrived here, we had a 4-year temporary visa. We had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old.
Wow.
And we all of a sudden went into survival mode. Moving country is a really massive endeavor, no matter what your context or circumstances are. As a young couple with 3 very young children, we didn't know anyone who lived here. We didn't know the culture. We didn't know the people. We didn't know the housing market. Just none of it. Totally naive. And I think we had 4 years of absolute survival mode. We moved house from rental to rental. We didn't know what area was going to stick. We were trying to figure out how to stay here long term, what might be a good school for our kids, navigating all of this with just complete uncertainty.
Mm.
And every time we would get to the end of a lease, we'd be wondering whether we'd have to move to a different place, or we're just totally burned out. Getting to the end of those 4 years, we didn't have a path on the visa to permanent residency. So we basically threw in the towel and moved back home at a quite short notice. We made that decision within a pretty short time period.
We moved back to Ireland in 2022.
Yeah, March 2022, we moved back to where Estelle's from in Northern Ireland, and made a massive life change. Fortunately, the company that I worked for let me go on sort of sabbatical, so they held my employment indefinitely. And not long after we were home, we got offered permanent residency, just the worst possible timing. And we sort of toiled with it at first. We just thought, there's no way. We have moved to Australia.
Right.
We lived that life. It's chaos. We've moved back for some peace and stability for our children. And then we had this hand grenade thrown in, like, do we go? Do we not go?
Yeah.
And we rolled the dice and we moved back. So June 2022, I'd been back for 3 months. I came here on my own again to start working and to get set up and buy a new car and get a new rental house and all that stuff. So 6 months later, we ended up where Estelle started off there, just talking about January 2023.
Yep. And then
We
her
were
going through a rebirth and wanting to give up teaching and all that. And then so her wanting to quit her job and pursue something different obviously activates something in you, right, Ruben?
Yeah. So I'm living in this state of mind of survival still. I'm thinking about, well, we put ourselves back when we moved to Australia the first time because we owned a house.
Yeah.
We owned a house in Northern Ireland, and we have lost all of our sort of credit and our, like any progress we've made, we've sort of undone that by a few years. And it just started to catch up a little bit. We're just starting to get settled. Then we moved back home and then we come back again. It was just, I was feeling a little bit of a sense of, like, I think in the day to day, I was highly anxious and I was very much approaching life with urgency. I was thinking, well, we're going to be 40 soon. The kids are at school. We need a house. We need stability. We need to stop moving. And I was just in this, like, I don't care what your job is. Like, we need to get a grasp of some stability in our life. And I think that was very much the sort of fear, anxiety driven mindset that I was in at that time.
It got to the stage where, if I was sitting down, I felt anxious because Ruben was going to get annoyed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't rest. I couldn't. And then as time went on, I said, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
So July came and he went on his work trip, and he got back and I said, I'm done. And for the first time he said, me too. He's always wanted to fight for us, but this time he had left.
Yeah.
Wait, how long have you guys been together?
12 years marriage.
Yeah. 13 years.
Okay. And you guys look young. So when did you guys get married? How old?
25.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2011. We were both 25.
Yeah. Kids. Got it. Now. Okay.
Yeah, kids. First child was born at age 27. So yeah, we were babies.
It was very much pushed for us to get married young.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know much about purity culture, but we had already failed massively living together in Japan, and we were full of shame and wanted to make sure that we were doing it right.
Yeah, totally.
So let me ask you this. You guys are here. Have you both decided that the relationship has expired and you guys actually don't want to work on it anymore? Or are you guys here to process some things, or maybe wonder if you should work? I mean, where are you guys at today as far as your marriage?
So just at the start of this year, we had given ourselves 3 months where we were...
From October last year?
From October, we decided, okay, let's not make any big life decisions for 3 months.
Yep.
And January we'll say yes or no. So now we're at the point where we've both said, yes, we want to make this work. We've done some inner work on ourselves and grown a lot. but this is a new relationship now, and I don't want to fall back into old patterns.
Right.
And we kind of don't really know how to do it outside
Mm-hmm.
of the restrictions of the church.
Well, are you guys following those restrictions or no? Right.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So, Ruben, let me ask you this: what's going on with you, your inner journey? So, what I hear, Estelle, is you obviously taking a different career path, following passion instead of a paycheck, doing a lot of exploring in relationship with self, hence the retreat, and a lot of revelations. And just it seems like you're going through some kind of rebirth, right? You are. The kids are a little bit older, and so you're like thinking about yourself maybe for the first time in your life, right? You guys got together at 25. Ruben, so what's happening with you as this is happening with her? What's happening with you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think initially it was just, okay, I loved to see Estelle go on this journey because no matter what place we find ourselves in our marriage, I always love you as a person.
Sure.
And to see you go into these different places and start to grow, and that was amazing for me to watch and witness. It was also deeply inconvenient and uncomfortable for me because all of a sudden I start to have these questions. Well, what does that mean for me? She's on this growth journey, and that's an open-ended journey. There's no
finish line. Yeah.
The destination. Yeah. I have no idea where that could go. Could go off this way. Could go off that way.
Wait. So what? So answer that question. What did that mean for you?
Well, it meant it was playing into the deepest kind of fear that I had, which is uncertainty. I hate uncertainty. I cannot stand not being able to put my hands in and control. That's probably been one of the single biggest issues in our marriage for the first 10 years. Was the fact that I just needed to at least have one hand on the rein, and know roughly where we're going and feel like if anything bad's going to happen, I can get ahead and damage control. So this was the introduction of me feeling anxious and scared and fearful and worried and all that kind of stuff and having to accept it.
Yeah.
So it's the first point that I think I had to face that really and say, look, she's not mine. I don't own her. She's her own person, her own woman, and it's her future that's at stake. And I had to wrestle with that question of what's more important, who she is and what she wants for her future, or me just squishing, her dreams into what will work for us because it'll be easier that way. Right. I think the first couple of months were hard. It was really hard. We had some big discussions and huge disagreements that were heightened for Estelle because even the slightest bit of control for Estelle during that journey now felt like 10x. So if I was saying we don't have money for that felt 10 times worse than it maybe ever.
It's like, it's like the slingshot has been pulled back for so many years now that, now that she's off to the races.
She's healing in certain ways and being encouraged by this amazing network of women who are becoming embodied and feeling more at peace and free with themselves and taking their future into their own hands. So for me to then start saying things like, we don't have money for that.
Right. And we actually do.
So it became...
She didn't want to carry your, whether it's scarcity mindset or your fears, your inability to control. She wanted not to carry that anymore.
Yeah. Right. So a couple of months in, I'd say August, it got really bad because everything just got set off even greater than before. And I got to the point where I think it was like pretty much done. I think you had said, look, cheers for everything, but we're done here. And
was there a beat, Ruben, that you decided, you know what, I notice all this in me. I tend to control. This is scary. I don't know where she's going to end up, who she's going to be. There's so much uncertainty, but I champion her story where she's at. There's actually something beautiful happening with her in her life. I'm going to support it. Was there a beat that you actually in action supported this, or or no, it happened so fast where you just were thinking about it?
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely was in support, right? You would agree, like, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I felt like the support had an expiry date, though.
Yes, it did.
And why was it tied to something? The support.
Because
was it like, okay, I'll give you 3 months. We'll see. We'll come back, or we'll see where you're at and see who you are. And then,
it was like, I'm not going to stand in your way to go and do this trip and like experience things and go on a journey and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that, and I'm excited for you. But as you came home and started to integrate back into life, I was kind of like, yeah, when are we going to get things back on track again? Like, what's this mean for me? How long is this going to go for?
Yeah.
And you just didn't have answers. And I wasn't fine with that because it just felt too chaotic for me. I think in August, Estelle was pretty much like, yeah, that's it.
Right.
It's been a ride, but let's call it, because I just can't proceed anymore.
We just got this stage where both of us realized that we weren't making each other happy, and we were making each other miserable.
Yeah.
And we could have like a rest, if we split child.
Yeah, that's true.
We both needed a rest as well.
Yeah.
We both really needed that rest.
So if we just had time out for a few days, away from each other, away from kids, then we could recharge, come back to being good parents separately. And that was a big driver in what I was thinking as well.
Yeah. So there was a bit of a turning point for me. That's part of it. Realizing just how much I needed respite, and you as well. We both just burned ourselves out. We don't have family or any support here. So 3 kids on your own in a different country is hard. So that was a recognition point. I realized that I'm not very good at loving myself or even liking myself. I had the same haircut my whole life because I was
what does that have to do with? You mean just like a sense of control and not changing and all that?
Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't change.
T-shirt.
Black
this is
t-shirt.
uniform.
Hey, it's a nice haircut. The black looks great on you. But right, safety.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was that sort of needing rest, and I realized that what kind of 60-year-old or 70-year-old or whatever was I going to become if I even made it that far? Because I was on a fast track to having an anxiety-related heart attack.
Yeah, I hear you asking bigger questions is what's happening right now, especially you now seeing her going through her rebirth. So now you're holding up a mirror to yourself. Where am I going to be? Yeah,
absolutely. I started to look at the future without the sort of cultural pressures of you need to have a house and a mortgage paid off and pension, and started thinking about, will I even make it? Will I be around? And there's being around, there's existence, and there's thriving.
Right.
And both of those felt very uncertain for me. And Estelle, with her endless ability to be kind and thoughtful and considerate, had somehow stumbled upon a men's circle that was happening over Zoom with a guy, Mikey, who had just sort of taken it upon himself to do this.
Nice.
He had seen an opportunity for facilitating some sort of positive men's mental health discussions. And she shared a link, and I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll do that. If I say no to this kind of thing, then that sets me on a really, really destructive path for the future. So I'll do it. And
I can't believe you did it.
It was so uncomfortable. It pushed me way out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And the first session that I went to do before I went to do the Zoom, I was like, I hate this. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, of course.
Honestly,
after the first session, you came back and you said, oh, it was really validating. It's so hard to be a man in this world. Like,
sure.
This is making this case even worse.
Yeah. It turned out to be the thing that helped me realize that I'm not alone in my brokenness, and that it's really very, very normal for me to like be in this position.
Yeah.
Men struggle with opening up and, being aware of their feelings and their emotions and their behaviors to begin with. And then they really struggle to like verbalize that and share that with other people and take action. And this process of the men's circle really, really humbled me in a massive way to see some of these Australian guys share what they'd been through and be a support network for each other was deeply humbling and emotional at times. And it gave me the sense of urgency to start working on myself and being responsible for the person I'd become, and start to really reflect on where that was taking me in life, take stock of where I want to go, and have a little bit of a rebrand in many ways. And from there, I've met some really great people who are working in the sort of mental health place and space. We went to America and had some really meaningful interactions with people that we know there, some people who work as therapists, and had some brilliant conversations. And it really, really helped both of us figure out that it's really important for each of us to look at ourselves and start loving ourselves, working on ourselves.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not going to show up in this relationship in a meaningful way for each other.
It seems like it seems like she's already started that process. And
totally.
once you start that, it's not something you can't put that back in the bottle. Once it's out, it's out. And you start to draw some hard lines, and you don't care if you shake the tree and people fall out, right? And so there's only one gear, and it's forward. And by the way, let's not use the word rebrand. Let's use the word rebirth, because I think both of you guys are going through your own versions of that. If you are doing it together, it can produce a closeness and, of course, a reunion. If you guys are doing it kind of separately, it could create drift, right? So is that what's happening now? You guys are kind of both on this journey of liking yourselves, loving yourselves, your relationship with yourselves in practice?
Yeah, totally. And I can see massive growth in you, and that also helps me to love me more as well.
Sure.
But yes, I'm honestly terrified of us loving ourselves so much that we go separately.
Well, let me ask you this. As you guys are doing this, what do you notice happening in the relationship? Can I ask, are you guys intimate? Are you guys sleeping in separate rooms? What's happening as far as...
No, we are intimate, yeah.
You are intimate. Okay, so... Sorry.
I don't know if that was a good decision. It wasn't really a decision. It just... We don't have space for another bedroom, basically.
Is that why you're intimate by proximity? You guys are just what's the intimacy and connection like?
A lot better than it ever has been, actually. Which then has been confusing over the path of, oh, we're going very separate ways, but for once we feel connected in this way.
Well, that's that's big, especially people who have been with each other for so long. So there is an awakening there, right?
Totally.
A rediscovery.
It's almost not even rediscovered. It's more like rebirth. It feels like feels like a totally new thing. That's been an interesting one. We set this sort of 3-month period of time to see how things progressed, and not. The point of it was more to not make any big life altering decisions and just give ourselves that time.
Right.
And that was some advice from some friends in America that we had chatted to.
How many months are you guys in, or how many weeks are you guys in?
Oh, this is literally almost to the day. This is 3 months.
Okay,
and really
so
just a couple of weeks.
And I think there's a danger of putting some kind of ticking clock into the equation. I think it's better to say we'll check in 3 months. We can evaluate. But not like we'll give this 3 months. That's a lot of pressure, man. And it's not realistic because growth isn't always linear, And so it's been 3 months, and where are you guys now? Besides the amazing sex you guys are having, what else is happening that's different, that is bringing you guys closer together or further apart?
Until about 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, okay, the 3 months are coming to an end, and we're also coming to an end. I don't see any real improvement. But then I came to him and said, I want this to work. I'm in this. And then it just changed.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
I have carried that uncertainty since July or August. Like, I don't know where she's at. I don't know where she's going.
Right.
And I often then, with that question in my mind, was sort of stabbing around in the dark as to what sort of action I needed to take. Because I didn't want to do anything manipulative, big sort of love dumps or bombs or whatever they're called. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make meaningful change so as she would choose me again. And often that meant, I don't know what the hell is the right thing to do, but if I'm working on myself and I go in a certain direction, maybe it's the right man for her and she'll choose me. And I think I have been less stressed about the timeline and thinking like, is she going to choose me again? Who do I need to become? And just thinking about being a better person for myself and for the kids. And
I sorry to interrupt, and also if you haven't noticed, I'm very direct, and also because of what this is, and because also I mean, I don't know how many sessions we're gonna have, right? So I'm just trying to be very direct and also getting the most out of this 45 minutes or so. The question isn't, you just said something and that hit me. Now I just forgot. You said, "Oh, is she going to choose me?" You said, "Is she going to choose me?" I think that's a dangerous question. I think we're past that, right? I think the question, Ruben, is, are you going to choose you? And then if you choose you, what does that look like? And once you choose you, then she will either choose you or she won't. I don't think the focus should be on her. And then for you, I don't think the focus should be on Ruben,
Yeah, no, right. That is exactly right. That is exactly where I've been at. I want to do work on myself for myself.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we both had a conversation a long time ago that said, we can't just keep sticking together again because it's easier. We would need to legitimately choose each other because we are the right partner for each other. We got married under pressure.
Right.
We got married under expectation. We got married under religious conditioning.
Yeah.
In many ways. And I think in some cases we did choose each other, and in some ways we actually didn't.
Right.
And I think both of us agreed, next time around, if this is ever going to work, you would have to look at me and think, yeah, the man that you are is the man that I want by my side, and vice versa. And I don't think I have been trying to think about who's the man she would need.
Right.
Sort of reverse engineering myself into that.
Yeah.
Just like, that's not going to serve me in 5 to 10 years.
It's also not what she wants. So it's false advertising. It's living outside in instead of inside out. And at this point, both of you guys need to now start with truth and shed and live inside out. And if you guys happen to align and match, that's amazing and beautiful. And if you don't, that's also okay too, right? So Estelle, you said that you had a moment where you're like, I want this. What happened and why the change?
Oh, Christmas came and Ruben didn't give me anything.
Okay.
And I felt like it absolutely shattered me. And I just thought, oh, why did that shatter me so much? Technically, we're not together. So, why would he do that? And I didn't want to go down this more uncertain limbo period. I just wanted to draw a line in the sand and say, can we please move forward in an uncomplicated way? We talked about it like a week later. It took me a week to build up the courage to bring it to him. And he said, oh, it's complicated. And I said, I don't want to start a new relationship complicated. So yeah, I guess we're in this new relationship where I don't want to be complicated.
Wait, I'm confused. So because he didn't give you a Christmas gift, that made you realize that you want to choose him? What do you mean by move forward? Or that made you realize that you wanted to move on? I'm confused.
Yeah. I sensed that he was still in this like limbo.
Right.
Like he said before, he didn't want to like manipulate me or
Right.
love me
Right.
but I want him to be able to show his love
Mm-hmm.
through whatever means, not necessarily gifting anything, but in any way.
Yeah, there was
What made you realize I want this marriage? What made you realize what gave you the change of heart? If you were on your way out, you decided, oh wait, actually, I really want this.
Mm.
What made you realize that? Maybe you misinterpreted my question.
I could see the growth in Ruben
Mm-hmm.
and in me, and I could recognize that both of us were on this path of just doing our own thing and your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had even, bought books, listened to podcasts, talked to friends about polyamorous relationships,
Mm-hmm.
about anything outside of the box, anything that was normal.
Right.
And the more I considered it, I just thought, I'm not interested. I just I want to focus on one person.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of all happened in December.
Mm.
And I
Is
guess
there speaking of poly, is there a part of you guys, since you guys pretty much spent most of your younger years together and then 25, so I mean kind of pretty much out of college age, you guys have only experienced each other. Is there a part of you guys curious about what it would be to love someone else? Is there a part of you guys that is just curious about that exploration?
back in July, August, I did say that I was ready to let somebody else love me.
Mm-hmm.
Ruben, what about you? I felt I deserved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really interested in other people or partners.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a lot about separation, had like comments, or you would say this, or maybe join a dating app, or I'm sure you'll go and do that or whatever. Honestly, I think for me, I had been a sort of a serial codependent.
Mm-hmm.
And in this stage of my life, if we didn't work out, I need a solid 5 years of self-discovery.
Sure, yeah.
To the point where, what's the word, celibacy?
Yeah.
It just don't need the complication,
right,
or I think I would find connection in other places, just meaningful friendships and personal discovery and things like that. I just really, really was feeling quite a piece of being on my own and being the kid's dad and focusing on that.
That's a good place to be,
I felt amazing to be in that place.
Yeah,
it felt
it's empowering.
I went from relationship to relationship trying to find my value in what women were saying about me. Oh, you're good looking, or you provide, or you're this, or you're that. And I would feel love and seen, because I don't think I heard that enough as a kid. And I realized that I don't need anyone to say that. I can just create those feelings of self-assurance myself, pretty much. Just on going back to the choosing me thing, I think with the Christmas complication, it was very loaded, and I didn't want to do the gift thing, and Estelle had said, don't buy me gifts, and it was a whole bit of a mess. And I didn't want to manipulate and things, so I let it be, and it was hurtful to you in certain ways, or created things that you had to consider. Estelle's birthday is 2 weeks after Christmas, and when it got to her birthday, there was nothing really said, but I wanted to make her feel loved, because at the end of the day, there's no person on earth that I care more about than Estelle, regardless of what state our relationship was in. And I just took that as an opportunity to just kind of say, hey, you're a great person. And I didn't do anything fancy or extravagant, but I did stay up pretty late one night. I'm not a baker, but I baked a really, really great cake, and it was gluten-free. And
I think loved.
I think
I was going to ask you, what did that mean to you, the cake?
So much.
Yeah. And it was nice for us to look at this new version of our relationship where we clear out the complication, the if this, then that thought process and just say, "Yeah, I like you as a person. You're special to me, so I did this thing for you," or whatever. And I think just starting over in that way was really meaningful for both of us, because I didn't bake that cake for the first time ever with an ulterior motive or to
there was nothing tied to the cake.
I just baked her a cake because I wanted to.
It's really hard though for me to like not think about the way that used to be.
Totally.
So I just want to make sure that, yeah, I'm doing this in a healthy way moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we got to get going, but I want to say a few things. One, there's such a beautiful story here, and I feel like you guys are going through not an act break, not a new chapter, but an act break. You know what the difference is, right? There's chapters, and then there's an act break. An act break is clearing. I mean, it's a complete turning. It's a 180, of the story, and up until now, I think might have been Act 1. And now I think you guys are, because you're both changing so much, secondary change that's not reversible. You guys are becoming different people. This could be two people who have known each other for 12 plus years, but coming into something new as different people, and it could lay new tracks. It could create a different love experience. One thing that gives me a lot of hope and also proof of this is, you said the intimacy is better than it's ever been, and so like, to me, that's a sign that there is some kind of connection that is different and new and a spark, right? So I think you guys are on the right track. I love what you guys are doing. If I was to give you homework, and I'm going to kind of switch it up today, you tell me what your homework would be to continue down this path, right? So Ruben, let's start with you. You taking ownership, what would be your homework moving forward?
Okay. Well, that's a hard question. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's give you time. Estelle, what about you? What's your homework? What is something?
Honestly,
I'll give you guys a hint. Bringing someone new to the table to ultimately give both of your bodies a new experience, not your mind, right? So you have to convince your bodies that this feels new and safe and different, not just logically, right? So it's not just about different behavior. It's consistent spaces that convince the body that this is new and different. What is your contribution to that?
Yeah, what I was going to say is I'm really historically really good at putting my own needs last. And I feel like going forward, for us to be healthy and in a good place, I need to get up in the morning and go for a walk or something that fills me up before I start my day. But I'm so good at depriving myself that it's just a habit now.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
Right.
I do it. I feel amazing, but I just don't know why I can't keep it up.
Ruben, can you support her in that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would love to feel, maybe this is my homework. Saying things to Estelle about certain things were loaded. Like, hey, why don't you do this thing? It might have a connotation within Estelle of, I need to lose weight. I need to exercise more, whatever.
Right.
So I got to the point where it was like, I'm not going to say anything. And then I just start becoming a mess inside.
Resentment, anger, holding stuff in, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then it makes my brain go, so many thoughts there, and they're not getting processed, and they're not getting out. I need to feel confident to say what I need to say, what is on my heart, and not wrap it up
without not it being loaded, though, right?
Yes.
Not like the intention pure.
I want this second version of our relationship to I want to become less of a people pleaser
Mm-hmm.
and worry less about what people think about me, and have a little bit of freedom to be myself and gradually build confidence there.
All right.
I also want to facilitate Estelle to feel comfortable to be herself, do the things that she wants to do. So
sometimes I do need a kick up the arse to get out there and go for a walk.
Yeah.
So you can be honest and
Ruben, so I've noticed, so basically you have in this process have lost your voice or have become insecure about saying things because of consequences. So going back to actually speaking your truth, as long as it's not loaded, there's a manipulation, you are just saying what you feel. And here's the thing, and the way that that's going to make her feel, don't make that your responsibility, especially if you struggle with codependency, because that's going to be your knee jerk. So just express what you want to express. I mean, obviously you're not assassinating her character. You're not saying, so just say it. And so that's the homework, is to show up where you put yourself first, instead of being worried and spinning in your thoughts of how she's going to respond or what she's going to think of you. That's how you show up differently. So that's your homework. And then Estelle, for you, kind of the same thing. Like you said, you want to put yourself first, but it's hard. I mean, it requires reps. This is all new behavior. So whether it's a walk or an orgasm or whatever it is that you need, or time alone, to actually ask for it. So if you can't go for a walk yourself, then ask for help, right? So it's the ask that I want to put weight on. Don't beat yourself up if you can't give it to yourself, but I want you to learn to ask for help and be okay with that. And then Ruben giving you that corrective experience of helping you without anything tied, like how he baked you a cake, will then convince your body, oh, I feel safe. I can ask for his help, his opinion. I could ask him to kick me in the ass. And there's nothing tied to that. That stands alone. It's a single serving. Oh, this is different. I like this. You know what I'm saying? And then Ruben actually saying what he feels and knowing there's going to be no repercussions, or he's not trying to outthink or trying to manipulate, but he's just kind of speaking his truth. And then you holding that and you saying, that's great. And you could also disagree, and that's okay too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then that's how I see two new people showing up to this, creating new tracks and giving each other a new somatic experience with love, what I call a corrective experience. Easier said than done, but let's start there. Let's start putting the reps in. You know, you gotta, relationships. It's like going to the gym. It's not like you're going to do 4 push-ups and expect definition. You know, it's a lifestyle, right? So both of you guys showing up in this way daily as much as you can, and some days are going to be hard, some days are going to be easy, but over time, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference in what this relationship stands on and stands for. Okay. We have to get going, and I will email you. And I'm trying to see people at least a few times, because I don't want to be a hit and run. I don't want you guys to feel like, I mean, we can't go all year, but I want to catch up with you guys in a week or two and let me know how you're doing, and continue to follow your story.
Thanks so much, John.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing your story. So relatable in so many ways. And I got to say, as someone who's 50 with 1 child, you guys at 25 or in your 30s, with 3, going through what you guys went through, survival mode. I mean, it was so much, and I'm sure it was in a way traumatic.
Yeah.
So congrats on coming out of that tunnel.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Yeah.
Be well, and email me and we'll set up another one.
Okay.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye. This is a classic example of people meeting early, having kids, losing sense of self, tracing other people's blueprints, whether it's a church or a parent or a society, basically living in a life that isn't really honest to you, but doing it because you are married, because you have children, because you have mouths to feed, and over the years, slowly disconnecting with self, right? Both Ruben and Estelle, both that's happening to them. The marriage about to end, and then them realizing let's give it quote unquote 3 months, another shot, and now deciding to have a new relationship with self first, right? And then let the cards fall as they may. And by having a new relationship with self, showing up to their marriage differently, and by doing so, that lays new tracks, that creates a new. So it's like they're coming to the marriage as different people, and that is very powerful. And hopefully, that is what's going to be what saves this. And I don't even know if I should use the word save, because it's almost like. And I hope, Estelle and Ruben, I hope you guys are watching this. You got to look at your marriage as that it has died. That part, all up until now, is over, and that has expired. You guys are now coming into a new, like I said, a new act break as new people, and it's the beginning of this new marriage because the old one has died, right? So it's not about saving a marriage; it's about creating a brand new marriage and customizing it, whatever that looks like to you guys. And also leaving room for expansion, for growth, for people to be who they want to be and not control what the outcome is. So it's not about the promise. It's about truth and being present. And usually if you put the weight on that, the promise is almost there, if that makes sense. I think we live in a world where we put too much weight on the promise, not enough weight on people's truths, and then people feel trapped. Anyway, thank you for listening, or thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you follow their stories as well as the other couples. So far, I've got 3 couples, and I am juggling as much as I can. Probably do 2 or 3 of these a week. And thank you again to all the participants for being so honest and courageous. I mean, how could you not listen or watch and get something out of this? How could you not relate? I know I can relate to all of these stories. So thank you so much. Be well.